Hello and welcome to the WrestleTalk podcast here every Tuesday and Friday, and next week coming Monday as well, because that's when we'll be covering everything AEW WrestleDream, which we have predictions on for this very show. If you haven't subscribed already, please do wherever you get your podcasts from. It could be on YouTube, it could be on Spotify, it could be on Apple Podcasts, and exciting news, everybody. This one is brought to you by Sabu, the documentary. Yeah, it's a plug. We've finally worked out that we can use the QR code running gag as a plug spot.
Yeah, if you head on over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk, you can watch the Sabu documentary over on there.
Yeah, and there's this fascinating scene that I'm obsessed by where Sabu, in his hotel room where there's nobody else, it's just a camera filming him to get some B-roll when I think he's going to bed. Or waking up.
It's him getting up in the morning.
Correct. And
he struggles with the coffee machine.
He's working the coffee machine, literally working. Working being the heavy lifting word there. He gets some coffee granules, and it looks like he snorts the coffee granules. Now, you watch the film, you be the judge of if that actually happens. A lot of debate in the office and with our new friend Rob Van Dam over whether that actually happened. But those coffee granules, they form a QR code.
Either on the floor or up his nose, you can find the QR code
if
there.
you scan them, it will take you to this very podcast.
So what you're saying is, because obviously I've been off for a couple of days, so I've not been around for these machinations of the deal, but what you're saying is, on screen, if you watch the documentary...
Sorry, not on screen. No, in that hotel room.
Right, okay. So you got to go to that hotel room, find the room that Sabu was staying in, and then find the coffee granules there.
Because, Luke, if it was on the documentary, something that people have already gone to our Patreon, of course they're going to listen to this podcast.
Well, that's what I was asking.
No, we're getting new people. New people who use that specific room in the hotel in Las Vegas.
That makes sense. But yeah, also, very good documentary. Maybe we'll talk about it a bit later when we come to some recommendations.
Yeah, but we have... On this show, we're covering AEW Dynamite and those WrestleDream predictions.
But we're going to be kicking things off, talking about the Seth Rollins injury and how Triple H can kind of use this to his benefit in a way, and whether or not this is actually going to create this real exciting creative shift within the company that's been I would argue, been sorely needed over the last few months.
It's so weird, isn't it? Because this podcast, this episode is sort of an answer to, or a suggested answer to an episode we did 2 weeks ago, which is Triple H actually a good booker? Because there's this theory, which I don't particularly subscribe to, but there's a theory out there that Triple H in the last 2-3 years of WWE has been so good because that was all stuff set up by Vince McMahon.
Yeah.
I don't think Vince was a good booker near the end. I think it's just insane that people are even thinking that.
No, I think the argument, or the thing we came to, was that a lot of the Bloodline stuff, which is kind of heralded as the greatest thing that WWE have done, was, while Triple H is head of creative, it was really people like Paul Heyman and Roman Reigns that were really in the weeds on the creative of that storyline. And I think what we said was that he's not creative, he's just head of creative.
I would also add The Rock. The chaos element of The Rock in the build to WrestleMania 40 is what made that really special. Because if we had Triple H's original plan...
Well, yeah, I mean, if we'd had Triple H's original plan, which we sort of did get in the end, which was Cody winning, what we sort of had The Rock was accidentally turning himself heel by coming in and being like, guys, I think I should be the main event of WrestleMania, actually.
Oh, I've seen the Smashing Machine now.
Have you? Oh,
yes.
Is it good?
Yeah. It's fine. I like it. I think it's a good movie. I don't know why they made a movie about it. I think the performances are good, the direction's great. Yeah. I love Benny Safdie's visual style, but it's not really a compelling story.
I have been blown away by the amount of coverage that film not doing well at the box office has gotten, because A, what did you expect? And B, everyone's like, is this going to hurt The Rock? No, it's not going to hurt The Rock in any way. This was never about getting good money at the box office. This is about getting him an Oscar. That's the only reason that he's going down this direction. He wants to win an Oscar now.
Or even a supporting Oscar. Not supporting, but an Oscar nomination.
If he can get an Oscar nomination, that's great. If he can win, even better. This film, this did not need to make $200 million on its opening weekend.
And you know what? It will very likely win an Oscar for makeup.
Yeah.
Because it's incredible what they do to his face. I think he will get a nomination.
I think at the very least he will definitely get a nomination for it.
Crowded men's roster this year on the Academy Awards. So they can't all main event WrestleMania.
Or maybe they'll do what they did with film and they'll just up it to 10 nominations.
But where were we? The Rock Triple H. Is Triple H actually a good booker? And yes, is he a good booker or is he a head of creative who picks other people's ideas? I think definitely as a showrunner, if we envision him as a showrunner or like the Kevin Feige for the MCU, I think a lot of his preferences towards how wrestling is booked, which is very slow, very character-based, which I like, but not all the time. And I think that might be, filtering down to people. So he definitely has an imprint on creative, but maybe he also needs some new creative voices in there.
Yes.
To jolt him out of his comfort zone.
Well, that's where Road Dogg comes in.
Yeah, Road Dogg. A historically challenging force to Triple H.
I think Triple H his glacial way of telling stories is fine if you are doing a 15-episode Netflix series, or actually even a 10-episode Netflix series, because you've just got 15 episodes and then it finishes. When you've got to do 52 weeks a year every single year, that is when the glacial pace of storytelling can just feel like so slow and a bit, as Dan Layton always say, you need get there. When are we going to get there? When are we going to get to the fireworks factory?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. So this is a bit of a tangent, but I was thinking about the Smashing Machine. We just spoke about the Smashing Machine. Last year on Raw, I think about September, October time, it felt like every week's episode was the climax, had a proper main event that could be on a pay-per-view in any other era. Of a 4-week story.
Yes.
And there was this really good cadence of, this feud began 4 weeks ago and now it's climaxing now. Another feud began 3 weeks ago. That'll be the main event of next week. So it felt like every week something was being set up, paid off, separate things all the time. That Bronson Reed, Braun Strowman,
Kaiju War.
Just Kaiju War. That was the main event of that week, and that had just a 4-week build. That's all it needed. Right, and you had the build up to it.
But we've had nothing like that really this year. I think we have had some lower level mid-card feuds. Bayley and Lyra Valkyria, I think, is one of those examples of that is a story that every single week is progressing to the next thing. And they're doing it through matches, really. So it's Lyra versus Roxanne 1 week, then it's Lyra versus Raquel. Then it's Bayley versus Roxanne and Bayley versus Raquel. And then you build to a tag team match. And now that's done because Roxanne, despite being pinned in that match, is going to be challenging for the World Heavyweight Championship.
Yeah, but then before then you had 3-4 weeks of Bayley vignettes, which, it all makes sense. Maybe that's how I would book things, but I wouldn't book everything at that same pace. But what we have now is a huge disruption to the very top of Raw. Raw has been based around The Vision, this faction by Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman and Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed, and that was set up the night after WrestleMania 41.
That was essentially telling you that this is what this season's big story is going to be. It's Seth Rollins' brand new heel group, and then we will build this until WrestleMania, and then we'll see what happens when we go beyond WrestleMania. Now, granted, I've actually not been across all of this news because I've been off for the last couple of days, so you might have to fill me in on a couple of the details going on here. But one of the things I did think about this story when I did hear the news, and then I saw that it's when they did the turn, because I actually did a board game night on the day of the turn, because it was on the afternoon here at UK time. I was doing a board game night. And I said on that, before I knew there was an injury aspect to this, I said, I think this is Triple H responding to online criticism that his show moves at a glacial pace. So he's just done something to shake things up. What I'm thinking it is now is actually an answer to something else we brought up on that show, which is, I don't think that Triple H can pivot. we saw about there, like Tony Khan, whenever an injury comes up, very bad at pivoting from decisions. If something a storyline just isn't working, like this Vision storyline has just not been firing on all cylinders for the last couple of months, can he pivot from this? I think what we're looking at here is the opportunity for Triple H to show he can pivot. Because you're right, this is an injury that is going to effectively end off all the plans he had building up to WrestleMania, and now has to come up with a new and exciting creative plan. And I think this is going to be the jolt of spark and emotion that Raw has needed.
Yeah, I really like to compare it to the John Cena heel turn. Because that, I bet in Triple H's head, okay, it's going to be a whole year, and it's going to be Cena doing probably what we all thought, the big retirement matches, and he wins the 17th world title, maybe closer to the end of the year, who knows. But other external forces were like, turn him heel. And Triple H...
The Canadian economy.
booked a great moment. Like, let's just clear it with Travis Scott first. And they booked this great moment, but the follow-up was absolutely dire. Triple H... I mean, most people can book a great moment. It's the follow-up that's the problem. And yet, by SummerSlam, they're just reverting John Cena to the babyface. That's sort of a bit of evidence to me that Triple H cannot successfully pivot in the long term.
No.
He can in the moment. But there's been a lot of reports about what were the original plans. These weren't the original plans. These were definitely...
The Vision. Or
the Vision, yeah. The Vision was formed after Mania. Then you had Bron Breakker and Bronson Reed. And then we were going to go into Seth versus CM Punk at Saturday night's main event. Who knows who wins there? But then it was going to be the Vision versus the Bloodline and Friends at War Games at the end of November.
Yeah.
Where, crazily... Austin Theory was going to join the Vision and kind of Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, I think Heyman likely would have brought Lesnar in as part of we need to fill out this team. So Seth picked his guy, Paul picked his guy, and bringing in Brock would have probably sort of started some of the fractures within Seth and Heyman. And it certainly would have led to some fractures between Braun and Brock.
Yes.
Because the reported plan from a couple of months ago was... It's going to be like when Lesnar came back it'll be Braun versus Brock at WrestleMania. That match has been discussed. So you can use the War Games match to sow the seeds to pay off in them having a WrestleMania match.
Exactly. Or maybe Braun, Breakker Lesnar at Mania, and the other only reported plan we had was Seth versus Roman at WrestleMania.
Which completely makes sense because of what happened at this year's WrestleMania. It felt like you do what happened at this year's WrestleMania where Paul Heyman turns his back on Roman Reigns and sides with Seth Rollins, and then Roman goes through Bronson, and basically beats the little baddies on his way to the main baddie so that he can face Seth Rollins at WrestleMania, whether that's for the title or not.
Which makes me think Seth might retain against Punk at Saturday night's main event. And it's Roman winning the belt at Mania. He's already in that mix with Bronson Reed. I think then Breaker's the next step. Then you're right. Then he goes to Seth. And then Roman beats Seth. This is my fantasy booking now. The night after WrestleMania, that's when the Vision implodes because Seth has lost his belt. What way the Vision implodes, I think is quite interesting. I think that could either be Seth being turned on by Braun, just like we had on this week's Raw, or a bit of the Batista evolution model of Seth somehow blaming it on Breakker. They all beat up Breakker, and then Breakker has to go through Bronson, go through Austin Theory to get to Seth Rollins at SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think we probably would have had something similar to what we got. That's kind of my gut feeling on this, because it's the whole point of putting this group together was to elevate Braun and Bronson. So you do that by having Braun be the first guy to do the turning him babyface, and he then goes into a feud with Seth Rollins. Like that, I think completely adds up.
So now we can't do the main part of this story, which is Seth Rollins.
Multiple parts of this story we can't really do.
Seth Rollins, he's the World Heavyweight Champion. Looks like he does have a shoulder injury. He's going to have shoulder surgery. And
he might miss WrestleMania.
Yeah, it could be a 6-month recovery time, which means missing WrestleMania at this point, probably. So Seth, first off, you've got to vacate the belt. I think that's quite clear.
Yep. Yeah, you certainly can't hold on to it so you can't have it not at WrestleMania.
CM Punk has already won the number one contendership for that that belt at Saturday night's main event in like 2 weeks' time.
Yeah.
You got to put Braun in there. Braun is the guy who has taken out the champion in kayfabe. Seth doesn't have a shoulder injury sustained in the Cody match in kayfabe. Seth is being written off TV because of the Breaker attack. Yeah,
and the squash of Bronson Reed, because Bronson Reed then did the tsunami onto him. And Breaker was the one who held up the title at the end of it. So 2 things of note from there, because obviously I've not had a chance to talk about any of this, not being on Tuesday's episode. It's kind of ironic in a way that his world title run started with a fake injury, and it's possibly going to end with a real injury.
Or is it a ruse?
Or is it all?
They've learned their lessons. We believe it this time.
It's part 2 of the work. Yeah, we got him. Or it's a follow-up episode on Unreal. That's Series 3. Or my other note was like, didn't Bronson Reed just beat Roman Reigns? Like, why isn't he the guy that's sort of being pushed as? Why isn't he the one that's going to be going for the world title? But Braun Breaker looking to be the guy. So maybe at Saturday night's main event, you're going to do Braun Breaker versus Seth Rollins. Versus CM Punk for the vacant World Heavyweight Championship. Punk's earned the right to win that belt, and Breaker is going to be put in there as the guy who took out the former champion.
Yeah, I would say that's where we're heading as well. That makes the most sense. But my concern now is Paul Levesque in the conservative booking. Oh, Braun, we've got a plan to build Braun. I didn't have Braun as a World Heavyweight Champion until WrestleMania 43. You know, the crowning moment in Saudi Arabia, like we all want it to be. Is that right? Yeah, that's 43.
Yeah. Next year's is in Vegas.
Yeah.
We're so successful last time that we're up in the prices and doing it again.
So I don't believe in Triple H's original version that Breaker was going to win the top title for at least a year, possibly a year and a half from now.
I think maybe SummerSlam. Like, maybe he would have won the title by SummerSlam.
But that means he's facing Roman at SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Seems way too quick for me, buddy. But yeah, okay, SummerSlam. So we would be fast-tracking that by about 10 months.
Yeah.
I think Triple H is so conservative in his booking because he's got the whole weight of the company on him. If he puts a guy on the top position in Raw, and it's not right, then that is problematic very much for him, particularly at a time when WWE isn't firing on all cylinders like it was before. The safe choice, unfortunately, and dare I say the smart short-term choice, is CM Punk.
I disagree.
No, but like from a shareholders, ratings, mainstream perspective,
Maybe.
CM Punk is way more popular than Braun. I think that's irrefutable. But Braun, I think we all agree, is a smarter long-term choice. There's risk there. Mm-hmm. It might not work. He might not be ready. He might not be able to hold promo segments for 20 minutes opening every Monday. Nor do we want him to. He's got Paul Heyman right there. But it is a risk. He is unproven. Punk is proven.
I think it's I actually think it's the smarter choice to put it on Braun Breaker. If only because what you currently have now, and this is based on vibes, looking at the comments on our videos, is for the first time in a while, I'd say arguably since WrestleMania, the closing moments of WrestleMania 41 of night one, when you had this new heel faction forming, where Rollins formed with Heyman, and then you got Breaker joining the group as well. Since that period of time, this is the most people have been interested in the top title scene of Monday Night Raw. I think there's maybe some the worked injury angle of Rollins, but that was more a case of people like, well, we know it's a work, and we're now just waiting for the payoff. Although, you know, we had some comments being like, I really did think it was a legit thing. So
it's been Gunther, it's been Jey Uso, it's been Gunther.
It's not been like the top title scene has not been hugely interesting. So looking at the comments, people are like, here's what I would do, here's what I would do. People are fancy booking what they would do, and a lot of it is putting the title on Breaker, right? My concern would be putting it on Punk is too safe of an option, and all of those people who are excited, well, I'll tune in when they do something different. Then what you need now is not to do the safe option. For me personally, I think what this company needs now is not the safe option. It needs the wild choice. It needs the not safe option. It needs to shake things up. It needs to scrap up every single thing you had for WrestleMania, build it from the ground up, and do something new, creative, and different. That is what Raw for me needs right now. It is not 45-year-old CM Punk with the World Heavyweight Championship again. I don't know if he's 45, but he's
it's 44, 45.
Yeah, he's in his mid-40s.
But this is a huge point as well. Like there's only so many safe choices you can make because CM Punk 44, John Cena 48, and he's out at the end of this year. Gunther and Jey Uso, these people who feel like fresh choices. Gunther's 38. Jey Uso's 40. Yeah. Well, in his 40s, I think.
We always make the joke that, and I think that's the wilder one of these, is Damian Priest feels like a new guy. He's older than Cody Rhodes.
Yeah. Bron Breakker is 28 right now. But if by Attitude Era standards, that's sort of when you should be hitting your main event stride. The Rock was 26 when he won his first WWF title.
So you were making this point on the Tuesday show with Dan, and while I completely agree with you, something that I don't think was raised upon that show is that ages are different now than they were during the Attitude Era. Like Hulk Hogan, when he was on top in WCW, felt like the oldest guy on the planet, and he was in his mid-40s.
Yeah.
Like CM Punk does not feel as old as Hulk Hogan felt in 1998, 1999. I was drawn when Finn Balor was 38, and he was the same age as Davey Boy when Davey Boy was having his dreadful 1999 return to the World Wrestling Federation. You can argue two completely different people in terms of who were the same age. People have aged differently. That's because the road is less tough. There's less drugs going on in wrestling these days. People are taking their time with things. So being 38 is not the... Foley retired when he was like 35 in 2000 because he was considered an old guy then. So I don't think being 35 or being 40 is old. But what I do think you do need to do is invest in younger talent. It's the Brian Alvarez rant that he had recently of, you need to stop waiting on these people. You signed Tyler Bate when he was 19 years old, and it's been a decade, and you've done nothing with him, and he's wasted a decade of potential just doing nothing in that company.
Tyler Bate?
Yeah, Tyler Bate.
Oh, Tyler Bate. Yeah. Tyler Breeze in my head. And I was like, but he's not. But you're right. Tyler Bate's a really good example. Of course, people can wrestle later, like AJ's the extraordinary, and he's still going. Late 40s, I think, maybe 47. But it's not about that. It's about variety. That's what we keep coming back to. It means you can have a 25-year-old guy in the mix. There's no better way than that, because then this 25-year-old guy is getting the rub and the experience from all these established top stars. Right now, there's such a gulf between the late 30s and like that decade of 38 to 48, that is your main event scene right now. You raised the point, no world championship in WWE has been won by anyone born after 1990.
I find that staggering.
Yeah, and it's a really bad sign for the future of the company, because they're not building new stars. You feel like they're building new stars because they're like, NXT's a thing, and then we bring them up to the main roster. There's this illusion of developing new talent. But actually, it's taking so long, way longer than is historically proven to be a better success. And guys like Javon Evans and Leon Slater, have you seen the Bound for Glory match?
Of course I did, yeah.
It's incredible.
Awesome.
I was
Until
watching
the finish.
I was watching it. Yeah,
the two finishes.
I was watching it with an ex-wrestler, and he was like, I've never seen someone run the ropes like that. Like, when they bounce off the second top rope. Like, that's the art moving forward.
Yeah.
That is what is more of a trope of running the ropes, and boom, these 20-year-olds have found a new way to run the ropes. That's what should be injected into the WWE.
Yeah, and that should be, if it was a different era, like, you'd sort of like in the late 90s, say, during the Attitude Era, when WWF was on the back foot and they were losing in the war to WCW, that is when they would have taken those risks. Because the reason why The Rock was pushed into the position that he was in, and Triple H was given his ascension, aside from being in Triple H, Vince's ear the entire time, but a lot of these guys were given the right is because they were the youth movement. WWF did this whole thing of like, we're the youth movement. We're where younger people are wrestling. Not on WCW, where all of these old dinosaurs in their 40s, and some of them in their late 30s, are wrestling. Goldberg was like the anomaly within that. It was like he was the only younger guy that was getting the ascent because DDP was old. So that was their stance against WCW. But that's because they were losing. They're winning now. And when you are winning, it was say like getting to the top is hard, staying at the top is even harder. And maybe staying at the top is doing the safe options and not taking those risks. And because of that, they've then not invested in people when they could have done, because it's like, well, we don't want to put a 21-year-old at the top of the company because we don't know how that's going to affect stock prices or this, that, and the other. I just think now it's time to take some risks and do some things like this. Otherwise, you're going to end up in a position where Siobhan Evans is with the company for 10 years and has really accomplished nothing from that.
I totally agree with your point on WWF pushing younger guys in opposition to WCW. But then you get Kurt Angle. You get that rise of Kurt Angle. WCW weren't really as much of a threat then. Then you get Lesnar in 2002. He is like just booked as this dominating force from the get-go. Bron Breakker, he's been on the main roster for about 2 years now. He's been in NXT for 2 years before that.
Yeah.
It's like we've already had 4 years of this guy.
He feels established in the company.
Like there is... he does still feel fresh, but it's not like, boom. But this guy has just had 4 vignettes, and he's debuted, and he's just beaten John Cena. Like, there is a real opportunity here for Triple H, again, in this sort of pivot. Can you take a risk, a creative risk? Which they did with Cena, but they didn't have the follow-up. You've broken up the Vision faction. There is a very real route to have Breakker win the World Heavyweight title, beating CM Punk. Beating John Cena and retiring John Cena. Beating Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And then beating Seth Rollins on his return. But maybe Seth Rollins beats him just for the purpose of the story.
Well, yeah.
Breakker wins it back over the 3-match feud.
Can I give you my pitch for
that? That is a year long. You could not do anything more to establish that guy.
Yeah. Can I give you my pitch for a Seth Rollins return match? When he comes back, I think he'd be beaten down by the Vision again. And then, you know what he's going to have to do? He might have to turn to some people and find a Shield. He tags with Roman.
Yeah, I like that.
And tags with Punk. And it's Roman, Seth, and Punk versus the Vision. And you have essentially a Shield reunion. Because that's Seth then coming full circle. His whole thing was like, I can't believe people would tag with Roman Reigns. Like, he was going, but now maybe realizing, I was wrong in my approach to Roman Reigns. I actually do need your help.
I think I wouldn't put Punk in there. I see the reasoning, but maybe I'll put Cody in there. Roman, and Seth, Cody, the whole WrestleMania 40.
The only reason I'm putting Punk in there is because, the Shield was his idea.
Yes.
I mean,
can I have 1 year? 1 year without Seth versus Punk?
That's the other great thing about this. We're not getting a Seth Punk match again. Saturday Night's main event.
God, it's being dragged out further.
So, I mean, as an overall thing, for me personally, I think this is the jolt that WWE needs. I think it needs a real burst of excitement. And Bron Breakker is the answer to that. I think Bron Breakker winning the world title and doing something completely new, fresh, and original heading into WrestleMania could be what WrestleMania 42 needs. Otherwise, had this injury not happened, man, we'd have been coasting through till WrestleMania. It would have been good, but it would have been just coasting fine. I think this now needs to be... Triple H needs to be able to show he can pivot in this moment, because he's got something huge given against him, his world champion, and the guy who's been building Raw around getting out injured. He needs to be able to pivot and make a really exciting show off the back of it.
I'm afraid. I really do believe this. Punk's going to win. Punk's going to go into a feud with Roman Reigns. They're teamed together at War Games, and that's the match at Mania. Punk versus Roman. They just switch Seth and Punk out.
Should we lay it down now then? So if we're going to say, should the Saturday Night's main event match be Braun versus Punk for the vacant World Championship, I'll put a tenner on now. Braun wins.
I want Braun to win.
Yeah, I know you do.
But put it there. The tenner is back on.
It's back on.
Wait, I need to get in your shot.
That's how I spend most of my day.
Homicidal! Suicidal! Extreme to the bone!
What happened to Sabu? Never got the accolades, never got the money he deserved, and almost killed himself for every promoter he worked for.
You want a match? It's gonna be your last one.
I don't know. There's no story. No planned out, premeditated story that I know of. Unless, if I was to maybe die tomorrow, then that'd be a good story.
That was a trailer for the Sabu documentary, which you can go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk right now and watch at the $6.50 tier. And if you go to the $11.50 tier, there is an interview with me and Luke and the film's director, Joe Clark, and the film's producer, Rob Van Dam.
And if you are going to watch the video version of that, because it's available, to listen on audio form. If you're going to watch the video version, try not to get distracted by Rob Van Dam's background. Because what he did, and I think it was quite a smart thing, is he set up some video footage, like a YouTube video of someone playing 2K25 with Rob Van Dam versus Sabu, which a lovely little thing to have on in the background. But YouTube videos end. And then they might start also playing other videos. So
Rob doesn't have premium.
Yeah.
There's quite a few mid-roll ads.
Mid-roll ads. There's also, it then goes into, if I remember correctly, all of Rob Van Dam's entrances from various video games, which actually is quite nice.
Yeah.
But then it just ends off with Kurt Angle entrances from a bunch of video games as well.
We've also got a director's commentary on that tier as well, where Joe and Rob, first name terms, Joe and RVD just do the whole movie and they're talking about their experiences with Sabu and what certain scenes are.
Yeah. I'm assuming if you're watching this, you're probably around our age. A good portion of you are. Maybe some of you are slightly younger. You'll remember the glory days of directors' commentaries. And this is, they don't exist anymore. But we're bringing them back. I'm going to do a director's commentary.
My favourite director's commentary, Shaun of the Dead, zombie commentary. It's just people going, "Ugh," over the whole film.
I was always a fan. I used to love the Kevin Smith documentaries.
They're shoot interviews. That's what they are.
Yeah. I used to talk about when I worked night shifts, I would have MP3 versions of shoot interviews with wrestlers that I would listen to because I would work night shifts before podcasts were really a common thing. The other thing I used to do was get directors' commentaries as MP3s and load them to my iPod and listen to those while I was working. And just listening to directors talking about films that they had made, I was found very, very comforting.
So that's at the $11.50 tier. But honestly, do go over to the $6.50 one at least, because it's a really impressive movie. I think it was, the trailer was first announced back in June, and that's when I sort of reached out to Joe and I said, this looks good. Just the way it's shot, to get a bit pretentious. I think I said, did I say this in the interview? It feels a bit like Harmony Korine directing a wrestling documentary. Harmony Korine's like Spring Break. It's got a very poetic visual style, almost abstract at points. And it's not what you think of when you think wrestling documentary. It's not talking heads and here's this person's career from when they started. There's bits of that, but it's just sort of chapter starts. What it is Sabu is training for his last ever match, and we follow him around. He goes shopping. He cooks his girlfriend dinner. He talks about the loss of his partner, Melissa. He runs the ropes for the first time, and he talks about how much it hurts.
Yeah.
There's a constant magician's cloak thing where you don't know what's real, because he often talks on camera about, well, if he beats me, like the match itself is real, but then he's also constructing the match. It's fascinating.
It is at times feels like fly on the wall, not like a documentary like you've seen previously. It's like a real life version of Darren Aronofsky's The Wrestler in a way at times, of just like following, because there's like a moment when he is at a wrestling show and he's just sat there watching it, and it has got this sort of like forlorn look on his face of almost like how did I end up in this position I'm currently in? And then thinking about wanting to I've had some bad matches. I don't want to end off like that. I want to go and have some good matches. And Samoa Joe did an interview recently where he was talking about like, when's he going to retire? And he was like, do you know what? I might just stop doing it, and you know, I won't make a big song and dance about it. And we spoke to Rob Van Dam in the interview, and he said a similar thing. He was like, you know what? If I just stop now, I'm happy with that. But there are some wrestlers like, no, I want to go out with one final thing, and that's what Sabu's doing. But also talking about it might not be in true wrestler style. This is my final match, but I might also do some more after that.
It's like I feel like I know who Sabu is more than ever.
Yeah.
Yet I have way more questions.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's the sad thing is now we can no longer ask and find out more, because this documentary was made while he was alive. The whole point of it was to build to his final match. But it then became something different. The postscript becomes something different because he does pass away shortly thereafter, that final match. And so then the final part of the documentary is this sort of celebration of his life. I really, really liked it. I was fascinated watching it. I got quite emotional at the end as well. And yeah, we spoke with Rob Van Dam and the director, who had some really interesting insights on how he came about making the movie and what his sort of approach to doing it. And yeah, Rob talks very openly and very candidly about his friend.
Yeah, I really recommend the interview we did with him, because RVD tells this story. You know, the genocidal, homicidal Sabu. Rob Van Dam and Sabu are in a coffee shop. A woman walks in with a dog and says, "Can you buy my dog for $50?" Like, they were like, "Oh, what a beautiful dog." And I'm like, "Oh, you can buy it for $50.
Because I need $50.
Because I need $50. And Sabu instantly gives her $50 and says, "Keep the dog. Keep the dog. Like, but here's $50. And she walks off, and Rob's like, "That she's just going to sell the dog to someone else." And Sabu's like, "But maybe she won't."
Yeah.
And like, what a complicated man.
Yeah.
But quite simple in the same time.
Yeah. It's really, really good.
Yeah.
Highly recommend people go and check it out.
Well, these people are certainly going to be able to watch it because they are the pledge hammers on the $30 tier. The needs of the many Connish outweigh the needs of the few.
Better than you, and you know it, Max.
Max Kurt Wallen.
Probably better than Kyle Philip O'Reilly.
The man who wears the gold, the man recognised by Swaft International as the 24/7 champion, our legend.
Daylight Robbery, Rob James.
Bebop and Rob Steedley.
Ross Pooper Scooper Cooper.
Rue the Day, Rari O'Brien Kelly.
The man with the scoops, Sean.
The big boss man, Security James.
And lastly for this Hall of Fame class, on Friday the 17th of October 2025, hear me roar, Siratu Lion. You are under the impression that Dynamite is going 3 hours by stealth.
Just frickin', can I have a 2-hour episode? 2.5 hours was this episode. No, sorry, 3 hours, because it was Collision, because there's WrestleDream on Saturday. They've split it in half. The week before is Title Tuesday. That was 2.5 hours, I think.
Yeah.
The week before that, I think was 4 hours or 3 hours.
That might have been, I can't remember that, because that was the anniversary episode.
Yeah. And then the week before that was definitely 4 hours.
Because they did like...
Both of them in the same block.
Yeah, because they did Dynamite and Collision at the same time.
I'm like, it's probably just a seasonal thing. There's the MLB playoffs and there's this pay-per-view, so it's just there's Title Tuesday anniversary stuff. So there has been some preemption, but I really, really think you should protect the 2-hour format. I think the show just doesn't hang together as well because you just inevitably have that, oh, it's the low-effort Collision hour.
That's exactly what it feels like.
Oh, it's Rampage for a bit.
That's exactly what it feels like. This is like, so every time they've done Dynamite and Collision, it is mad to me how different the shows feel. Because one of them just stops being Dynamite and then just becomes Collision.
It dips to black.
And it literally has like the credits come up at the end, you know, the sort of like trademark and stuff. But they do feel like completely different shows. And while I appreciate what Collision does, which is a very much a Saturday night, old style wrestling show, which just, it's 2 hours of lovely wrestling and good wrestling happens. When you would just have that at the end of a Dynamite, it doesn't work for me, brother. Like, it just doesn't like click together. This would be better off just being a 3-hour episode of Dynamite, because you know, when there's no Collision this Saturday, rather than it being a Dynamite plus an hour of Collision on the end of it.
I imagine it's out of their hands just because of scheduling.
What I think.
But it's pretty bad to do this so often over the course of a month.
So I disagree. I don't think it is going 3 hours by stealth.
I was being glib. Really.
I think this is just a scheduling thing. It's all of this has happened within the last few weeks of each other. Because the thing with Title Tuesday, it's not just that it was on a Tuesday. It's going to go up against NXT.
Yeah.
So you need to go do the overrun as well, because that can sort of help artificially bump up your ratings. But this show opened with Tony Storm and Chris Statlander doing a sit-down interview, which I thought was very nice. Although I didn't need it to start with comedy, which is like, both of them taking off jackets, and then Chris takes off her trousers, and then even Renee's like takes off her jacket. I want this to be a bit more like, it got serious, but I kind of didn't need it to start with comedy.
Yeah, I didn't think this was a good opening to the show. I thought it was a fine segment. I wouldn't say it like really fired me up for the match. I don't know where you're going to fall on this. I think it seems like a slightly divisive segment. I think start this whole show with the Jon Moxley Darby Allin thing. That segment was unlike most things I've seen in wrestling.
I would not have done.
Right.
I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I did like it, but it's sort of hokey wrestling.
Yeah, but also if you're getting a lead in from another show that isn't wrestling, and it looks more like a back and forth traditionally shot movie or high-end TV show. And Moxley's acting, I do believe, is good enough.
I mean, it was
where you might go,
awesome.
What is this? And then you stick, it's a wrestling show. I don't know.
Maybe.
But risks.
I can see that argument, actually. I hadn't considered it from that angle. So I do agree with you there. I thought this was fine. You're right. Maybe not the hottest way to open the show.
I think that the Moxley Darby thing, if it's the start of the show, functions as a cold open as well. It's like, this happened, and now the show starts.
Yeah.
Which, it's a bit weird to go into it in the show because it's so aesthetically different.
I also don't need you to then go into another promo segment, because you have Jack Perry doing a promo against Tier about his match with the Bucks at the pay-per-view. Then we had Hurt Syndicate versus GOA. I think if you can say anything about the demand or this feud with the Hurt Syndicate, it has raised the stock of GOA.
Yes,
which
definitely.
I think is a huge positive to take away from this.
Particularly Toa Leona and his stuff with Bobby Lashley.
Yeah.
They've got this really good, just meat-based feud.
And they've become the first people to pin the Hurt Syndicate in AEW.
Yeah. Yeah, they have.
Yeah, they won here and they pinned them.
Yeah, I thought that when the Hurt Syndicate, and when we say the Hurt Syndicate, we mean Shelton Benjamin and Bobby Lashley in straight tag action.
Yeah, because Ricochet pinned MVP at the last pay-per-view.
Yeah, I thought when they finally took a clean pinfall loss, this wasn't clean, first off, Ricochet ran in. When they finally got a pinfall loss, it would be clean and it would be a huge deal, and it would probably mean that the tag titles changed hands to GOA. Like, why didn't GOA just beat... I love Brodido, but why couldn't you have done all this leading into Forbidden Door and GOA win the titles coming off the back of it?
Well, you only started off the feud at Forbidden Door.
Yes, well, I mean, shift everything
forward,
further. Like, did we need the jet speed stuff?
Well, they needed to beat up a few geeks, really, didn't they? So...
You needed to do that to get to the Christian stuff.
Yeah, obviously. You needed to do all of that jet speed stuff where they beat all of them to lead to Brodido not pinning the Hurt Syndicate at the pay-per-view and winning the tag titles.
Yeah.
But the match was pretty good, as it turns out. And then we got the recap of Darby attacking Moxley at New York Comic Con. I love it when wrestling companies do angles like this. Reminds me of when Punk started doing, quote-unquote, the Summer of Punk. And he just showed up at a Comic Con and started cutting a promo on WWE wrestling. Awesome. I love this sort of stuff.
I watched a Moxley interview from New York Comic Con as well.
Oh, yeah.
He looked mad awkward. Did not want to be doing it. But he did say...
I mean, I've seen that Steve Austin interview. He did.
But the interviewer, bless him, was like, and what DC characters would you let join the Death Riders? You got to ask these questions. It's his job.
It's New York Comic Con, man. Like, you got to ask these questions.
But Mox's answer was he wouldn't let Batman join because he didn't kill the Joker. And I thought, that's the most I've ever understood the Death Riders' principles.
So then we have the promo segments are between Darby and Mox, which is done in a prison police, like
a visitor's booth.
A visitor's booth.
Yeah.
That's where I get into a little bit of like, it's wrestling hokiness, because my first question is, well, who arranged this? Did they text each other like, we're going to meet at this location? One of them has to be in the visitors side of it. The other one has to be in the prisoners side of it to kind of get in all of this. There's almost too much hokiness for this to feel like a wrestling promo segment for a wrestling match. Though it was very cool because Moxley's promo is so great. And actually, to his credit, I thought Darby's promo was actually really good as well.
I think Darby can be hit and miss on promos, but the setting, I guess, facilitated it coming off really well. And Moxley, it's like, Moxley's a great promo all the time. In this setting where he can talk slow and he can talk quiet and it's through the glass, like, it was an extraordinary performance. You are right, though. I was so impressed by how it all came across. The setup is completely lacking. And unless I missed any explanation on commentary, there's quite a clear reason for this, I would say. Darby tried to firebomb a public event in the previous week's episode where that security guard signed that man, did an awesome pounce on him. Like, why wasn't Darby arrested for a week?
Yeah.
And Moxley is visiting him in prison?
Yeah, apologies if that was said on commentary. If it was, I missed it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt it was slightly too hokey for my tastes. But at the same time, kind of cool. Like,
Well, I loved it. It really gave me Batman interviewing the Joker or Batman interviewing the Riddler in the Batman movie.
Yeah. Well, it's sort of... I had the same thing with the Cody Roman promo that they did at that football stadium style
I like
thing.
that
well,
too.
I know, but that also was quite divisive in terms of like, I don't need... It's where this is cinema sort of like starts to creep into conversation.
Don't do that. Don't utter that phrase here.
We had Claudio Castagnoli versus Roderick Strong. Very fun match. Really
good stuff.
Yeah.
Just
Claudio won.
Yeah, with an uppercut out of nowhere. No Death Rider's interference, crucially.
Yes, which then sets up the tag match that you got in the collision. This might be my favorite segment of the whole show, which was the Don Callis family celebrating Don Callis's shoot birthday. And Kyle Fletcher's present for Don Callis was a video from Takeshita, who's just won the IWGP Heavyweight Championship, despite what Dave Bradshaw believes. I messaged Dave Bradshaw about this, and he was like, Zach's the true champion. I'm only going to recognize Zach as the IWGP champion. Yeah. And he's playing this video, and partway through it, Okada just lifts up the remote and turns the TV off, and then goes, oops, I pressed the wrong button.
I'm so sorry. So I had already seen this. They released this on social media a couple of days beforehand.
Oh, did they?
And when I saw that, I thought, that is so funny.
It's so good.
God damn, that better be in Dynamite. And they did, because sometimes they do these excellent segments or promos, and they don't put them on Collision or Dynamite.
Yeah.
Maybe it was on Collision. I can't remember. But Okada's delivery here, like maybe he was just trying to turn up the volume.
Yeah.
Oh no, I turned it off.
They're wrestling for the tag titles this weekend.
Weird, isn't it?
It's weird, but I love it. Like, that's the go-home angle for this match, is Okada turned off the TV.
Technically, the go-home angle was at the end of the show.
Oh, I suppose, yeah. We had Mark Davis, Josh Alexander, and Hechicero taking on Kenny Omega and the Jurassic Express. Look, I loved this match. Kenny Omega's wrestling in it.
And Mark Davis. My boy Mark Davis, getting his shot back on TV. It's your fun six-man party tag match, which I'm always going to enjoy. Nice to see Jurassic Express doing a proper match. It was a squash match last week, really. But yeah, the story was Kenny and Perry, like, are they going to coexist? And they did. They learned to trust each other throughout the match. I thought Mark Davis got a lot here.
Yeah, I mean, this was sort of like to show him off as the new member. I would imagine the plan would have been, had the Andrade stuff not unfolded, it was going to be the Golden Lovers versus the Don Callis family at WrestleDream. That's my presumption on what they would have done.
Or just a straight singles match. But Ibushi's awful injury.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So 2 years.
You'd have done Omega and Ibushi versus Andrade and likely Hechicero, so someone can take the pin.
It's not Andrade.
Well, exactly. Then you build to Andrade versus Kenny in the singles match.
Do you think maybe it was, like, if it was Kenny versus Andrade and like Andrade, Kenny's going to win, and Andrade goes, oh, actually my contract says... Yeah, you can't wrestle for a year.
Oh no! It turns out, oops, I pressed the wrong button, and there's actually a year-long clause.
But you've signed me now, so I guess you're paying me for that year I can't wrestle.
Because WWE they sure aren't.
Oh dear. Oh well. See you next year. I'll be in Mexico.
So the report on this is that they were. No one knew that this was a thing. That Andrade had this extra clause on his contract that meant that because he was terminated, he didn't have a traditional 90-day non-compete clause. He might actually have a year-long non-compete clause, which apparently is now standard in all WWE contracts.
Wow.
If you are fired, not released, if you are fired, then you are not able to wrestle for any other wrestling promotion aside from ones that are affiliated with WWE. So you can go to TNA or...
And that is unbelievable, that part, because that's really cynical.
Yeah.
But it's not like you are fired, therefore... Oh, but you can work for our partner promotions.
You can work for partner promotions. You can go to AAA. But it's, for an entire year. But
it won't hold up in court.
Well, that's it. So the report is that Andrade has got really good lawyers, and that
Mark Sterling.
if it is going to be longer than 2 months, then he likely will take this to court. And if he does, he probably would win. Because Brock did.
Yeah. It's insane. The reason... I suppose the reason a non-compete... usually, if you're fired from WWE, you can turn up anywhere the next day. Like when CM Punk was fired from AEW, I believe there was no non-compete element in there. If he was released, there would be.
Yeah.
So,
and you're still paid by WWE during those 90 days.
Yes, exactly. It's like, essentially, they're giving you notice.
Yeah. It's a notice of termination.
We are going to... Yeah. But with Andrade's one... I mean, if it's standard across all contracts now, I suppose that's if a wrestler tries to get themselves fired so they can jump over to AEW or wherever really quickly. Like, there is a reason for there to be a non-compete in the event of a firing.
Yeah, it's a protection thing for you.
For it to be a year is just... It's like, there's no way that would hold up in any... Like, people think contracts, the contracts are like, that's what it must be because I've agreed to it, blah, blah, blah. No, it is what will hold up in court. Yeah. It's like the contract should be based on what the legal precedent is.
Yeah.
But this way, WWE doing it is a scare tactic and an intimidation thing and a way where they can just tie Andrade and AEW in knots because it is in the contract. It then does have to be disputed. But it's not real.
Yeah. So last week we asked, where is Andrade in all of this? Turns out in cease and desist land, because apparently WWE did send AEW a cease and desist letter. And having received one of those in the past, it's actually kind of scary. We got one for the first Clash of the Castle watch party we did. Their legal team got in touch with us incorrectly, and we still got to do that show because they sent it.
We did have a license.
Yeah, they sent it on BS reasons, which I think they knew. Jamie Hayter then took on Sky Blue to build to the Tekla match this weekend. Hayter won with a Haterade. Sky Blue looked really good in this match as well. Like, Hayter gave her a lot.
She always looks really good, I think. Sky Blue's been really good the last couple of months. Yeah. And, but since she came back from the injury, the hardcore match she had a couple of months ago. I really like Triangle of Madness.
Me too, man.
And it is so not my bag. Like, I think I really don't get on with this stuff usually. Yeah. But I think it's mostly because of the people in it. I really like the people in it. Yeah, and Tekla, yeah.
Because I think I quite liked Hart and Sky Blue as a tandem. And they did that promo a couple of weeks back where they both spoke at the same time. Like, they were the haunted twins from The Shining. And I'm like, that's a bit too much for me. The second Tekla is with them now, I'm like, that's badass now. Because Tekla, I just think, is badass. And she got a promo afterwards where, a good promo as well, actually.
Yeah, I think
to hype up their match this coming Saturday, which I'm really looking forward to.
Don't usually get Tekla promos. No. It's usually she appears and she brawls because she's no nonsense. But I thought, when you heard her speak, she can go on the mic.
It's also great that we're going to have a match at the pay-per-view, a women's match in AEW. It's not built around a title. This is just a grudge match between two wrestlers. Great. We should have more of those things. Renee interviewed Ultimo Monet about the 10th belt that she has now won. And she's going to be, I think it's this Saturday, is going to be the longest reigning TBS champion. She might already be at this point. The longest reigning TBS champion of all time. Then we had the Ops versus LFI with Hangman Page on commentary. I thought they might put the belt on LFI here just to get the Trios Championships off Joe ahead of the world title match.
Would have been something. Maybe Hangman Roosh is being his usual incredible dickhead Roosh self. Hangman interferes. That costs Joe for some reason. They lose the belts. That would have been really exciting.
Not pinning Joe. Like
Not pinning Joe.
No, don't pin Joe in all
but
of
Joe
this.
can be furious. You pin Shibata.
Look
at the trio.
Three. That's the one you're pinning.
But Joe would be furious.
Yeah.
I thought this is week 2 of a build. This
Yeah, I
is
agree.
not a go home angle for your world title.
Considering how
Disappointing.
Considering how good the build they have done for this, I felt this was a real like wet fart of an end.
I was like, do they think they've got another week to build this?
That's because they've got Collision as well. Like, we'll do something there. I really enjoyed your comment on this, which is that Roosh is trying to insert himself into the world title picture.
That's why I love Roosh. Dude,
No, it's really about me, actually.
Just spitting at Hangman Page. Hear about his elbow. He dislocated his elbow at one point getting into the ring mid-match. Like he just caught something caught on the bottom rope. I've heard of dislocating your arm. Dislocating your elbow. Oh, God. He goes outside. He's screaming in pain. He pops it back in and continues the match. Put this guy in the main event.
It's what he wants. I guess this is now we go into the Collision portion of the show. Because Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia of the Death Riders took on Kyle O'Reilly and Orange Cassidy. The story of this was that Yuta and Garcia don't work together as a tag team because they don't like each other. So Claudio had to step in and cheat on their behalf to get them the win. And now Claudio's probably going to have to work with them to get them onto the same page so they can be a cohesive unit, which we'll probably see more at WrestleDream because they're in the pre-show.
Yeah, Daddy Mox was watching from the crowd as well. Like, come on, boys.
Come on, lads. And then Darby came out like a zombie. And the story of this is no matter what you throw at him, he's just going to keep on coming at Jon Moxley.
I thought it was really effective.
Me too.
Because I don't think we covered. Pac beat the ever-loving teeth out of Darby in that sort of Batman scene that we had earlier. Like, blood was going all over the screen. It was awesome. And Darby comes out still blooded here because that was a couple of hours ago, I guess. And yeah, first Claudio, does he uppercuts him or something?
Yeah, running up.
He still crawls down. Then Pac does a running knee and he gets up and he still crawls down. And all while this is happening, the Death Riders members are just watching him. Like, oh, he's still going. It was a really good staging, I thought.
And he unfurled the flag and he was like, I planted this flag on top of AEW. He was like, this is... And I think this is what I quite like about some of this, because I know you've got a little bit of a... All right, we get it. You climbed Mount Everest.
No, that's very much a me problem. They should absolutely remind us about the Everest thing.
I don't think it's just about reminding us of the Everest thing. Great accomplishment. This is what he's fighting for. Darby is fighting for the soul of AEW, which is what Moxley is kind of against at the moment. He thinks he's really fighting for AEW, but Darby's like, you're not. I'm the one who's really fighting for what this company stands for. So I think that some of the symbolism there is quite cool. And then we had Top Gods cutting a promo about Willow Nightingale and Jet Speed because they're having separate matches at WrestleDream. And then it led into Megan Bayne versus Harley Cameron. Harley Cameron gave a spirited effort against Bayne, but Bayne won in the end.
That's how I described it, yeah, spirited.
Yeah.
She's doing really well.
The Acclaimed then had a promo backstage where they were arguing, saying they're never going to tag again. And then our main events was Kyle Fletcher, Lance Archer, and Rocky Romero, the Don Callis family, taking on Mark Briscoe and Brodido. And Brodido won, didn't they? With the pile driver.
Yeah, love Brodido, love Mark Briscoe. Lance Archer and Rocky were just sort of there as fodder, really. And Briscoe and Carl brawled off because they've got the TNT title match, which should be really good. Wonder if Mark wins. We'll get into predictions shortly. But then El Clon is here.
Yep.
Really, really quite pointless now that Hologram is injured.
Thing with Hologram is, he is a guy under a mask. You could just put someone else in the hologram position.
Yeah. Put Clon as Hologram, and then Hologram comes back when he's healed. Wait, you were El Clon all along.
So you're suggesting doing the Sin Cara storyline that they did, which is when the original Sin Cara went out injured, so they replaced him with the lad who went on to become
the toughest guy in the locker room.
What was his name?
Beat up Sheamus several times.
Yeah, I can't remember what his bloody name was now. But anyway, he then became Sin Cara Sin Cara Dark, and we had Sin Cara Light in the Battle of the Sin Caras. Like, I'm not saying put El Clon underneath the belt, but you could just put some other one under the hologram mask.
I don't care.
I enjoyed the Dynamite segment of this, but it did not feel like a very strong go-home show, which actually I think is what AEW usually do quite well. I don't think this was a effective go-home show.
The Clon distraction, by the way, brought out Okada. He beat up Bro Dido with the belt because, that's the tag match at the pay-per-view.
So should we get into the WrestleDream?
Yeah, speaking of.
So we've got 12 matches, 4 of which are on the pre-show, which means, I know you're going to decide, it means it's an 8-match card.
For now. Which, by the way, again, just to recap, we are covering this on Monday.
Yes.
We're not. It's a Saturday night pay-per-view, but we like our weekends now. We're being kind to ourselves.
I did a weekend last weekend.
Yes, exactly. Like we're just not going to do every single weekend.
We open with on the FTR taking on Jet Speed.
Well, I think FTR win quite clearly. That this is all just filler for when Edge and Christian come back.
Eddie Kingston and Hook are in an open challenge.
Oh, you're not going to predict FTR?
Oh, yeah, sorry. Yeah, I probably should do. I'll go FTR. Yeah.
Eddie Kingston and Hook, what a waste of both guys. Like, Eddie Kingston's come back, Hook's been having these vignettes.
We have been talking so much about Kingston coming back and getting involved in this Death Rider storyline because he's the guy that has the most emotional heft to add into this. And he's just there being like, cool, I'm tagging with Hook, I guess.
I hate you, Sammy Guevara.
Yep, but that's over now. So 2 other clowns can come and face us. And it'll probably be Big Bill and Brian Keith.
Kingston and Hook for me.
Yeah, me too. Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale taking on Megan Bayne and Penelope Ford. I'm going to go with the good guys. I'll go with Willow Nightingale pinning Penelope Ford.
I'll go with Divine Vanity, just because they are a coherent tag team. But Megan did get the win on Wednesday.
Yeah.
Oh, no, actually, I'll go Cameron Nightingale as well.
And the main event of the pre-show is Roderick Strong and the Conglomeration taking on the Death Riders of Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Daniel Garcia, and Pac. The Conglomeration being Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Tomohiro Ishii.
Really? At this point, we have to bill Roderick Strong separately from the Conglomeration?
So this is a joke of Roderick Strong keeps saying he's not part of the Conglomeration. And even when they do graphics, it's like Roderick Strong and the Conglomeration.
That is cute, then. And
then there was a graphic put up for this match that said it's just the Conglomeration versus the Death Riders. And Roderick Strong was like, well, no. I need to get in touch with the graphics department. I'm not part of this group.
Yeah.
It is Roderick Strong and the Conglomeration. The story, as we said, will build around Wheeler Yuta and Daniel Garcia not getting on. So I think that might actually lead to the good guys getting the win.
I'm going Death Riders just because I think this is Pac's only his second match back, right? And he lost to Cassidy.
Yeah, I don't think he's taking the pin. I think it'll be one of you because they got the win on Collision, so I think it'll be Team Good Guy getting the win here.
I'll go Death Riders.
The main actual show, which we'll do this in this order. The Hurt Syndicate taking on the Demand in a trios tornado match.
It's the Hurt Syndicate.
It's the Hurt Syndicate.
They
baby.
lost on Dynamite.
They sure did. And that will bring them 2 versus 2. 2 wins, 2 losses. And that'll end the feud. In a singles match, we mentioned this earlier, Jamie Hayter versus Tekla.
I mean, I think it should be Hayter. God, I really like Tekla, though.
I think Tekla's winning here. I'm going with Tekla on this one, yeah.
I'll go Hayter.
For the Tag Team Championships, it is the Don Callis family represented by the Unified Champion, Kazuchika Okada, and the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, Konosuke Takeshita, taking on Bro Dido. And because of those 2 guys having those 2 belts, I think they might win the tag titles.
There is a New Japan political argument here that they do not want Takeshita to lose the week he became the IWGP Heavyweight Champion.
Because one of them would have to take the pin.
Yeah.
And if he was not the IWGP World Heavyweight Champion, it'd be like, oh, well, Takeshita will take the pin here and not Okada. Now that both of them have got those belts, I don't know, man. Like it's...
But I think Okada could take the pin, and that builds a Takeshita Okada match.
For the IWGP Heavyweight
For,
Championship.
for all the belts,
For
who
all the
knows?
belts, yeah.
Maybe they do one match for the Unified, and then Wrestle Kingdom has them for the championship, and that's Okada's big New Japan return.
Maybe.
But I'm going Brodido to retain.
There's part of me that thinks they're going to put the belt on the Callis family. For the...
But is that your prediction?
Yeah. I'm
Okay,
going to go with Okada and Takeshita. Although I do agree with you, eventually we are building to the singles match. Finally. For the TNT Championship, it is Carl Fletcher defending against Mark Briscoe. I'd put the belt on Mark.
I think now's the time. I think he's been bubbling for so long. He needs to win something. He beat Max. If you beat Max, you should get a proper thing off the back of it.
Yeah.
Carl Fletcher, it frees him to go up to the main event scene.
I completely agree with you on that one.
So yeah, I'm going Mark Briscoe.
We have a tag team match where the winners will receive $500,000 dues as Jurassic Express take on the Young Bucks.
I mean, it should be Jurassic Express because they've just come back and this is the revenge feud. So I'll go Jurassic Express, but some of these could go either way.
I'm going with Jurassic Express on this one. For the AEW Women's World Championship, it is Statlander defending against Timeless Tony Storm.
I don't think they take the belt off Statlander this soon.
Me too.
But that means Tony takes another loss.
I think she takes the loss.
But I guess that can help her spiraling character. Who am I?
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll go Chris.
We have Darby Allin taking on Jon Moxley in an I Quit match.
I wonder if this goes on last.
I think you might be right.
I'm surprised it's not like an unsanctioned I Quit match, because then there's a reason for it to go on last. But I wouldn't want to follow them. And also, I do feel like it's the main event.
Yeah.
This is a year in the making from the previous year's WrestleDream when they took out Danielson. And Hangman Page versus Samoa Joe just doesn't feel as big.
I think if you do it that way round and having Joe and Page go on last, you run the risk of what happened when it was Copeland and Moxley, and you should have ended with the Hollywood ending. There's every chance that the crowd burns out and they don't want to just see a 40 minutes wrestling match. No, so Moxley won at the last pay-per-view in the coffin match.
Oh, Darby's got to win here.
I think Darby needs to win here.
Yeah.
I think this is the match for Darby to win.
Yeah, I agree.
And I don't know how he's going to make Moxley say I quit. I'm terrified to do so. I hope it's not a Molotov cocktail, because that is stupid. And then in the main, well, possibly the main event for the AEW World Championship, it's Hangman versus Samoa Joe.
Yeah. Easy Hangman Page retention, although I cannot wait for the match. I don't want it to sound like I'm down on these two, although the go home segment wasn't stellar. But yeah, I cannot wait for these.
I am so excited for this match. And I think you're right. I think the Page retains.
And then Page can go into that Rouge feud.
Yeah, that's the match we want to see right now. Right, well, thank you so much for your comments on last week's episode, which we didn't really have a main talking point. We actually did predictions for Thingio, for Crown Jewel. So we've got some people talking about some other stuff, particularly Booker T, because you and I had some very harsh words to say about Booker T's commentary.
It's the worst.
But first up, before that, we've got Double T Music, who said, got to meet you both, Luke and Ollie, during the interval at Clash of the Comics on Wednesday night. Just want to say thanks again for all you do. It was a lovely experience meeting the people behind the voices I listen to every week. As someone who doesn't have many mates who are into wrestling, I rely on you guys to fill that void, and the podcast certainly does just that.
Nice to meet you too, whoever you are.
Yeah, so that was nice. Brought a bit of a smile to my face. But now, onto the Booker T stuff. Matt here says, someone finally said what I've been saying for years. Booker T is the effing worst. But people have differing thoughts on this, including Raps7or, who said, Booker helped Stephanie and Trick get over. He's fun, he's funny, he's hilariously entertaining, and has to be the most entertaining commentator of all time. He's even got compilations based on his funny moments. Not everyone needs to be a serious Corey Graves type commentator.
Fun, funny, and hilariously entertaining. I feel like you just said the same thing 3 times. I made it sound like there's more to it.
No, he's fun, funny, hilariously entertaining, and entertaining.
I could not disagree more.
Yeah.
I don't think he's a good commentator with the basic requirements of a commentator, and his style actively detracts from the product.
Yeah, so I did say in last week's episode, the credit I would give him is that I do think he has been instrumental in Stephanie Vaquer's Devil Kiss getting over, because that now has become part of her moveset, is like doing the chant along with it with the crowd. So I give him credit for that. And actually, a lot of people pointed out, whoop that trick is also... But I think that was the NXT crowd, not Booker T going in between each one. I think it was more the crowd that got whooped that trick over.
It's fine to have those for signature spots, but he does it all the time.
Well, that's what I said. He's become a meme commentator. He's just looking to make noises so people clip him out, and then he stays relevant and on Twitter GIFs, I guess.
For his podcast.
And
that's what we should do.
Just say Diabetic Man here said, honestly, Booker T is one of my favorite commentators at the moment. Yes, he has his gooner moments, but most of the time he's incredibly entertaining. When he goes off on one, he's great banter. His chemistry, or anti-chemistry at times with Vic Joseph, just adds to it. A top 10 commentator for me. Plus, I think his commentary helped get over Stephanie Vaquer with the Devil's Kiss.
Yes, we've established that.
And
yes.
ad-libs Trick Williams' entrance.
He has done one or two good things. Look, he did a whole episode of TNA Impact, which was themed around the main event Mafia taking over the show. And it was him and Kevin Nash on commentary. And the joke was, he's not a good commentator.
Yeah.
He's worse now than he was back then.
He is way worse now because now he knows that it's a bit. And yeah,
he's become self-aware.
He's become self-aware.
In the worst possible way. Like a toddler who, I think I've used this analogy before, a toddler who says something and the adults laugh, so the toddler just keeps on doing that thing.
Yeah. I actually had that happen to me last night. I asked the kid during bath time, what stories do you want to do tonight? And she just looked at me and said, what story do you hate doing?
That one. That is funny.
And me and my wife burst into laughter because it's such a funny thing to say. And then she just kept asking, but which one do you hate? And then I'd say which one I hate. She's like, which other one do you hate? Because she knew it would try and make us laugh again. Yeah. The answer to the question is Pup Save the Pizza Tower from the Paw Patrol. That book stinks. Jamie here said, you should do these shows at a post 8-pint stinking stupor more often. Hilariously good fun.
Oof, I was rough last week. I went to Bristol where I drank more.
I actually was fine. And then I went home and I watched a bit of The Flash and it made me feel terrible. Amiable Oh no, do you know what? I didn't watch The Flash on Friday. That was my plan. I could not face it. I instead watched 6 months worth of TNA Impact to get notes together.
Way better.
I had such a good time watching it. And Amiable Pariah here on Spotify says, the slander of the World Heavyweight title is absolutely wild to hear. You admit that SmackDown is a dull show. You admit that Cena retirement is a bust. The WWE title does absolutely nothing. The title matches are bad. Worst Royal Rumble main events ever. Which I guess is the Kevin Owens match, which was awesome. Yeah, this year's Rumble, it was Cody and Owens.
But neither were the World Heavyweight Champion.
WWE
Champion. Yeah. Oh, yeah, that was great.
Furthermore, talking about outfits, Cody Rhodes congress out like the offspring of a nutcracker in the 4th of July. I'm not saying the heavyweight title runs are flawless, but they are streets ahead of WWE title reigns. Wild takes.
What, you're calling your own takes wild takes? I think the Gunther run, the Jey Uso run, the second Gunther run, the Seth run, like, this is a year of dull runs, largely.
And that includes the WWE Championship as well, because I don't think the Cena run was great. And I don't think Cody's run last year with it was particularly that exciting either. So I think that all the titles aren't really having much hugely interesting moment. The thing with the World Heavyweight Championship is that it was introduced as the consolation prize and therefore still feels like a consolation prize.
Yeah. The WWE Championship, particularly when Cena held it, despite all the creative missteps, made it feel like the most important title in wrestling.
Yeah.
And he did have great matches. Like that, the SummerSlam one is a genuinely great match.
He had one great match.
And the Punk one, the Orton one, they're very fun.
Eventually got good.
Yeah.
But when it was just the first... We can't just ignore the first 15 minutes of a half-hour match. So what are your recommendations for this week?
Man, this is probably the only week I've not really thought of one. You go first. Let me see if I can think of something.
The Sabu documentary.
Yes, the Sabu documentary, double recommend.
It's a double recommend. But we talked about that earlier. My recommendation this week, I've talked about this on the podcast a lot, but New Metal's back, everyone. So get on board because it's back and it's back in a good way. And I've talked about bands like Maybe Not Safe and particularly Clockwise, who I think are a superb new metal band. They're also wrestling fans. That gives them plus points. But I think one of the first new metal bands that I got turned on to was a band called Silly Goose. Who
You big silly goose.
had a brilliant marketing strategy for themselves. Is they would just follow bigger bands doing tours around the country and would do gigs outside of their gigs on the back of a flatbed truck.
Yeah.
And so they would just tour, like drive up and down the country doing shows outside of bigger shows. And the albums that they've done are really, really good. And they just released new albums out today. I think it's called Keys to the City. I'll just quickly double check that is what it is called. The Keys to the City is one of the tracks on the album. That much I do know. It is called Keys to the City. And yeah, I really like them. And I think they've got a really cool, unique sound to them. They sound like they could have come out in the year 2000. And I think it's pretty cool.
That's what new metal is.
Yeah. It's
Keys
a
to the
2000
City.
Yeah,
By-
2000 by Silly Goose.
By you big silly goose. Me and my partner, that's like, oh, you big silly goose.
Yeah.
If one of us does something silly.
And also new series of Celebrity Traitors
Oh,
here
brilliant.
in the UK.
Yeah.
It's way better than the American Celebrity Traitors, which is just The Traitors.
Yeah. And everyone's so mean.
Well, the thing is, here's why the UK Celebrity Traitors is so much better than the American Celebrity Traitors, is because the American Celebrity Traitors is just reality TV stars or people who've played games before. This is just a wild variety of celebrities. You've got established UK chat hosts, you've got some stand-up comedians in there, you've got Olympians, you've got sports broadcasters within it, historians. It is just this wild singers, got this wild collection of people. Charlotte Church is among them.
Yeah. Well, that's someone I hadn't thought about for a while.
I know.
Taking me right back to some crushes when I was a teenager.
I haven't heard people talk about Charlotte Church's boob so much since she was 15 years old and the Sun were counting down the days till she turned 16. True story, everyone.
Yep.
The Sun newspaper did count down the days until she turned 16 years old.
While
They're creepy bastards.
While simultaneously running pedophile scare stories. Oh, the big menace of Britain right now is all those paedophiles. By the way, check out this hot 15-year-old girl.
Yeah, does your mother know that you're out? Does your mother know about you?
That was our media landscape when we were growing up. On a national level.
Yeah, they did the same thing to Emma...
Watson,
yes.
Hermione.
Hermione. But anyway, yeah, so Celebrity Traitors here in the UK and Silly Goose. That's my recommendations.
I'll recommend Smashing Machine.
Why? You just said it was...
No. Look, it is a good film.
Okay.
It's just, at the end of it, you're kind of left with, oh, what was the... why that story? Because Mark Kerr, I didn't really know the ending of the story. I know he had pain pill addictions and sort of marital problems. Well, they weren't married, but relationship problems. I didn't know how the big career bit ends, and it's incredibly anticlimactic. Maybe if I knew that going in, I'd experience it all a bit differently.
Yeah.
But it is a bit... it's one of those things where, like, with all the amazing stories in sports, why did you pick this one? And I think it's because he's one of those guys that did so much in the early days to establish UFC, and he's sort of not spoken about at all now.
Yeah.
Maybe that's the reason.
And the Rock can easily get the rights to it because he's part of TKO.
Yeah. But there's plenty of other UFC stories you could have done of those early fighters.
But can the Rock play those roles?
Maybe not.
Because you've missed the big key to this is to make sure that the Rock is the central focus of this, so he can try and get an Oscar nomination.
Well, I think the Rock he watches a sports documentary and goes, I really like that. Let's make a film of it. That's how Fighting With My Family came around.
It's very true. Yeah.
And this is he watched a Mark Kerr documentary. Oh yeah, I'll make that.
Well, you and I have speculated before that the reason why he played Black Adam in DC is because he went to DC and said, I want to play Superman.
Yeah.
And they said, you can't at the moment. So he was like, well, find me a character that's just like him then. And they were like, Black Adam? He was like, Black Adam's the greatest comic book character of all time. I can't wait to play him in a movie.
I grew up reading Black Adam. I'd be sitting on Hulk Hogan would babysit me and give me these Black Adam comics. But yes, it is well made. It's incredibly well acted. You can't fault the Rock's performance in it all. And there's some really powerful moments. It's just at the end, I'm sort of left feeling like, what was the point of putting so much effort into this story?
I've got a recommendation a bit like that as well. Like if you're just looking to pass an hour and a half and you don't really know what to do with it, The Woman Cabin Number 10 on Netflix is just a movie.
Is this what recommendations have become now?
Well, I gave you two actual recommendations, and you gave me one that you yourself said was broadly fine.
No, honestly, the direction, the acting's superb. And I think as wrestling fans and Rock, people who grew up with The Rock, we should go and see it. Like, this is an important part of one of the most iconic wrestling stars ever's Hollywood persona. And he does it incredibly well.
Yeah. Okay.
But you will be left with this, But maybe if you know that going in, you'll enjoy it.
Well, there you go. So if you, there you go. If you want to check it out, Ollie's recommendation is you might not remember that you've seen it. Similarly, The Woman in Cabin Number 10.
But you will remember the Sabu documentary on
you
patreon.com/WrestleTalk. That has not left me.
No, it's not.
I keep thinking about it. So go over to patreon.com/WrestleTalk right now to watch that. Jam that jam.